Hey guys, so in the 2016 presidential election, there were many states that were expected to go to Clinton or Trump that at the end of the day went the opposite way. And that was just a major part of the 2016 election where the polls really were so close that many states were projected to go the wrong way. They were within the margin of error. However, many of those polls really did not project the correct winner at the end of the day because the polls were just so close 4 years ago. This time around, things are not as close, but I want to take a look at the 2020 electoral map if the states would flip or shift the same way they did in 2016, applying the 2016 shifts comparing the polls to the actual results to the 2016 polling data right now. Before I get started, make sure you join my Discord server if you have not. We're doing many events, giveaways, and contests there before the election, so make sure you join and you do not miss out on that. The link is at the very top of the description below, and in addition to that, I have also launched channel memberships on this channel. They're just 99 cents per month. Just click on that blue join button next to the subscribe button and you'll gain access to some pretty sweet perks. So moving on to today's video. So Joe Biden, he would carry all the West Coast. So first I'm just going to fill in all of the solid and likely states for Joe Biden first, as I typically do, so we can get these states out of the way. But the second districts of Maine and Nebraska, there's not enough data in these two districts, so I'm not going to be talking about them in today's video. However, Joe Biden, he has quite a few solid states on this electoral map. He's at 201 electoral votes. And then for President Trump, he has not as much, but still a pretty significant amount. I believe South Dakota is actually a likely state at this point in time. So is Utah. And so things are not looking good right now for the current president. We'll see if he can gain back some of those numbers if we were to apply the 2016 numbers in this election. So South Carolina is a likely state once again, no longer a lean state. Alaska, however, is still a lean state. West Virginia is solid, while the state of Indiana is a likely state once again. So this electoral map, starting off here, we have Joe Biden 201, and he'll also win the state of Virginia. So that's 214 electoral votes for Joe Biden to President Trump with 125. And these 199 toss-up electoral votes is what we're going to be talking about today, applying that 2016 shift to the 2020 numbers. So the first state I want to talk about is the state of Nevada. That is a state where right now Joe Biden leads in by 6.6%. 4 years ago, this was a state that Clinton was expected to lose. Trump led by 0.8% in this state. He was able to take the lead during the final days of the campaign. However, he still ended up losing this state. This is the only state that Clinton was expected to lose that she actually won, but President Trump plus 0.8% on election night. Clinton won this state by a margin of 2.4%. So that is a 3.6 or 3.2% shift to the left, and we're going to apply that to the 6.6% that's already here, and this would make the state of Nevada a likely state for Joe Biden, putting him up 9.8%, almost 10% in the state of Nevada in favor of Joe Biden. The state of Arizona, that is 11 electoral votes. This is the state that went to Trump by, as you can see, 3.5%. He was expected to win in this state by 4%, and Clinton actually led in this state throughout most of the month of October. However, at the very end, Trump's able to make some pretty large gains and win this state at the very few last moments of the campaign. So plus 3.5, and then taking a look at the polling data right now, Trump is down a pretty similar margin, 3.2% compared to Joe Biden. Trump underperformed here by 0.5%. So this state right now is going to be adjusted, and it will be a 3.7% margin for Joe Biden. So it's going to be a lean state. That's 11 electoral votes for the former vice president. And then the largest prize on this map, the state of Texas, 38 electoral votes currently. Trump is up a margin of 0.5%. This is the smallest margin Trump has ever seen this entire election cycle, except for the two moments where Biden was able to take the lead, as you can see in July and early August. So these 2 points in time were pretty low points for the current president. Right now also does seem to be a pretty low point for him as well. We saw the debate last night. Nothing is going to change. There really wasn't too much of a clear winner. I think Biden did do better, but that's not what Trump needed. He needed a very, very good night, and he did not get one. He got an all right night, much better than last time, but that's not going to help him win the election. So taking a look at the 2016 data here, as you can see, Trump won this state at the end by 9%. This is the state of Texas, a state that no Democrat has won since 1976, and a state that Mitt Romney won by a whole 16% in 2012, and Trump won by 9%, expected to win by 11.7%. So that is a 2.7% shift to the left. So Biden would win the state of Texas. Yes, Biden would win if we apply that same shift to the 0.5% that Trump already has right now. And Biden will win the state of Texas by a margin of 2.2%, making it actually a lean state on this electoral map. The state of Minnesota, that is 10 electoral votes right here. As you can see, currently in the state of Minnesota, Biden leads by a margin of 7.9%. He is at 50%, which makes me very confident in his victory here. This was a state that has never voted for the Republican Party in over 4 decades, the state with the longest Democratic voting streak. And as you can see, taking a look at these numbers here, Clinton plus 1.5 on election night, and then I averaged out the 3 latest polls, and that came out to Clinton plus 6.3. So it was definitely an underperformance for the secretary, and applying that same shift to the right in 2016, we have Biden plus just 1.6% in Minnesota, which right now seems absolutely crazy because Minnesota is just such a solid state for Joe Biden right now. So this would actually be our first tilt state on this map. The state of Iowa, 6 electoral votes. This will be the first state that Trump will actually win. So the state of Iowa right now, Biden plus 1.3%, has been leading here for quite a while, since the beginning of the month of October. And then taking a look at the polling data here, Trump was leading by 3.0%, I guess, on election night, and then he was able to win, the state by a margin of 9.5%. That is a 6.5% shift to the right. As you can see, that final poll from the Des Moines Register, that is one of the best polls coming out of the state of Iowa. Trump plus a whole 7%. So that was a pretty accurate poll, and considering the fact that more voters made up their minds in the final couple of days, that was a early sign of a Clinton defeat here. As in 2012, the election right before this was a Obama state, this was a Democratic state, and it was in 2008 as well. However, in 2016, Trump was able to flip it, and the state has moved quite a bit to the right since then. So the state of Iowa, that is going to go to Donald Trump by a margin of 5.2% if we apply that shift, joining the state of Missouri. The state of Wisconsin right now, Joe Biden is in the lead. However, after applying that margin, we're not going to see Joe Biden leading the state anymore. Joe Biden plus 6.5%. He is at 50% here again. So I'm not unconfident in his chances of victory here. However, applying those 2016 numbers, Trump won this state by 0.5 or 0.7%. Clinton was expected to win by 6.5%. One thing very important is that Clinton did not underperform. Clinton underperformed by 0.3%. That is barely a underperformance for Clinton, but Trump overperformed by 7%. Clinton was not at 50%, and if Biden would do the same, he would still win the state because Biden is at 50%. So applying that 2016 shift of just 7.2% to the right, Joe Biden would actually lose the state of Wisconsin, and President Trump win this state by a margin of 0.7%. So the state of Wisconsin, this would become a Trump state. That would be a tilt state for President Trump, the only state as of right now, the second state that will go to the current president. The state of Michigan, Biden plus 4.7%. That would be the new adjusted margin. Taking a look at the numbers here, really isn't too much to talk about in Michigan. Michigan at this point is a pretty solid state for Joe Biden, as you can see, plus 7.6%, and has been for months at this point in time. And then 2016, Trump plus 0.3% at the end. Clinton expected to win by a margin of 3.6%, but you'll see that at the very end, Trump did much, much better. Trump led in the final poll out of Michigan, and during the final weeks of his campaign, he did much, much better. We'll see if this happens again. However, last time around it started on the 16th. This time it still is yet to start that huge surge for President Trump. So we'll see if he's really able to make up that lead as of right now. But Ohio, this would also be another Trump state where Trump leads by 6.8%. So that will be a lean state for President Trump. And then next we have the state of Pennsylvania, 20 electoral votes. This state right here, Joe Biden plus 6.2%. He is also at 50% here, hitting that 50% threshold here in the state of Pennsylvania. I'm sorry about that. But the state of Pennsylvania in 2016, Trump won this state by 0.7%. This was the largest lead for the current president in those 3 blue wall states, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. And then that final Trafalgar group poll, of course, does show Trump in the lead. So that was an accurate poll from this group. That was also the final poll conducted. So while the election was approaching 4 years ago, voters really did have to make up their minds, and they chose on Donald Trump mostly. So these numbers, I mean, Clinton never lost her lead here. However, the numbers did get pretty close many times here, and we're not really seeing as many influxes in 2020 as we did 4 years ago. Hillary Clinton is a much more respectable, a much more professional politician. So there really isn't as much to worry about Clinton than there is to worry about Trump. So the state of Pennsylvania will still go to Joe Biden, however, by a margin of 4.4%. So that will be a lean state for the former vice president, joining the state of Michigan. And then the state of New Hampshire, that is 4 electoral votes. It also a pretty important state, 11.4% in favor of Biden right now. And if we were to apply that 2016 swing, which was 0, Clinton won the state by exactly what she was expected to win the state by. And so Biden would win the state of New Hampshire by a margin of 11.4% if we were to put into effect those changes in 2016, those irregularities and those modifications we've had to make. So the state of New Hampshire, that is plus 11.4% for Joe Biden right now. That is a pretty solid state, considering that this state only voted for Hillary Clinton by a margin of just 0.3%. That is just how unpopular she was in New Hampshire, most of this New England region in general. The state of North Carolina, 15 electoral votes right now. This state is also performing pretty well for Joe Biden. This is a state, I keep opening up the wrong tabs. On 5:30, as you can see, North Carolina, Biden plus 2.9%. He's doing relatively well there in the polls. Taking a look at RCP, this was a state that Trump won by 3.5%, was expected to win by 0.8%. So we did see right there that was a, I believe, 2.8% shift to the right, and the polls are looking pretty good for Clinton until this final days, until the election. We'll see if this happens once again. I doubt it won't, but we'll see what happens. But North Carolina applying that 2016 shift right now on North Carolina. This would be also a Biden state, where he would win the state by just 0.1%. So the closest margins, your friend really did save you there. So North Carolina, that would be a tilt state for the former vice president. The state of Georgia, Biden would win this state by 0.7%. If we were to take a look at the data there in Georgia, as you can see, Biden plus 1% on average, he's at 47.6%. And the Real Clear Politics average, Biden was expected to lose this state, or Clinton was expected to lose this state, Trump winning the state by a margin of 4.8% 4 years ago. However, Clinton lost the state by 5.1%. Again, she did not underperform by too much, but she definitely did. So right now, state of Georgia, even applying this margin, Biden would still win the state by a margin of 0.7%. I don't know why I keep clicking on the wrong tabs. I apologize for that, but maybe you guys should click on that Discord where Georgia, that will be a tilt state right now for the current president. And then finally, the state Florida, Biden would win this state by a margin of 0.25%. As you can see right here, he is a very close to 50%. He's at 49% there in the state of in Florida, and then Trump down at 45.7%, Biden up 3.3%. The RCP data for 2016, Trump plus 1.2% at the end. However, before that, Trump only led by 0.4%. You see that the final poll conducted here also did show Trump ahead. So Clinton did very well at one point in time in the month of October, in late October. However, after that, she lost all of her credibility and her trust, and at the end, she was able to lose the state of Florida. So that's 29 very crucial electoral votes to President Trump, and that would actually go to Joe Biden. So it's 29 electoral votes to Joe Biden. I don't know why I said President Trump, but as you can see, I already given it to Biden. That's 29 electoral votes for the former vice president. That puts him up at 379 electoral votes to President Trump, with just 159, winning this presidential election by a margin of 220 electoral votes, which would be one of the largest margins we have ever seen for a Democratic candidate. This is the exact same margin that Clinton had in his 1996 presidential election against Bob Dole. So this would be tied for the best victory for any Democrat since Lyndon B. Johnson all the way back in 1964. So this would be a landslide for Joe Biden. I mean, Michigan and Pennsylvania would be lean Biden states. They're Trump states 4 years ago. Wisconsin, surprisingly, will continue to be a Trump state, which I do not expect to actually happen. Minnesota would be a tilt state. Nevada would actually be a likely state on this electoral map. Arizona and Texas are lean states, as well as Florida for Joe Biden. And then we have North Carolina and Georgia as the two tilt states. And then these, this representatives from these two states are going to go to Joe Biden on this electoral map. And then for President Trump, he would win Iowa and Ohio. Those are the only 2 states on this map that he would actually win, because the polls were pretty wrong for President Trump in both Iowa and Ohio. They've all showed that Trump was expected to win by around 3%, but he won by around 8 to 9% in both of these states. So he definitely did much better than expected. However, this time around, polling data has improved. I think it will be a lot more accurate this time around. And so before I sound even more incoherent, I'm going to end this video for now. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure you join my Discord server if you have not. The link again is at the very top of the description below. In addition to that, make sure you consider joining my YouTube channel if you're interested in unlocking these pretty sweet perks. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see all of you guys in the next video.